Hello, fellow DIYers. Welcome to Sisterwood DIY. I'm Dana, and this is my next flip. So this dresser was free. I got it from a friend of mine who had a neighbor that was getting rid of some stuff. And so, of course, free is always my favorite price. So I decided, I'm going to pick it up. I've had it for a while. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it, but I had so much fun doing the Anthropologie dupe on the dresser I did for the up paint and furniture flipping teacher challenge that I did, that I decided I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to do it a little different. So I'm going to try a different technique. Anthropologie dupe that I did, I used the resin technique. So that seemed pretty simple and I really liked it, but I'm going to try the paper clay. First thing I have to do is give this a good clean. And I'm going to take off the hardware, which I'm going to keep because I think it's cool. And I got to sand it down. So stay tuned till then to see how it turns out. So if you can see somebody used nails to reinforce these drawers. The finish is terrible. It's failing everywhere. The top is dirty. So my plan for this, well, you know what? I think I'm just going to surprise you. But first of all, I got to clean. So I'm going to go ahead and take this hardware off, give this a good clean, and start seeing what kind of damage it has. So it's time for clean. So yeah, this is called a scrubby. I just found them. It's just a bar of soap with a scrubby built in. Now that I got this all clean, I am going to start sanding it. I'm going to have to remove the finish on this, not all the way down to the raw wood, but at least the top layer. It does have a lot of dings on it, but I'm going to paint the body of the dresser. So I'm going to just remove this failing finish. I'm going to use my carbide scraper to do the top coat, and then I'll use a sander to get it to to a scuff sand. This carbide scraper I love. I'll put the link in the description. And not every dresser obviously is going to need this. This is a really old dresser. So like if you choose one that isn't got this failing finish on it, all you need to do is scuff sand it if you're painting the body. but this Durham's Rock Hard Water Putty, it actually does dry super hard and it looks more like wood. So it's a 2-part. I just put, enough that I'm not going to be wasting too much. And then you just mix it with water and start small because I always put more than I need without realizing it. And then you just mix it up to make a paste. So you need a little more water. Because at least on the corners of the drawers, I want to make sure I'm using something that's not going to chip off or... So that's about the consistency that you want. All right, I changed my mind again. So I remembered I had this quick wood, and this is actually really good, and it looks more like wood. It's really hardens quick, really well. So what you do is it's a 2-part epoxy, but it's 2 different colors. So you just take what you think you're going to need. And I wear gloves because it's pretty sticky. And then you just knead it together until the colors are the same. Or it's mixed together so that there's no like marbling. And then this dries super hard, so I don't really, I was a little worried about the Durham's knocking off, but so I used it on the rest of it just to cover the dings because it's closer to the wood color, and I'll just sand it down. So I don't know if you can tell that they're pretty well incorporated. And this is sandable. It's not stainable, so you can't really use it if you're going to stain a project, but you can paint it. But I'm not worried about this area right here. I'm just going to make sure I put a flower that it'll cover it. So you just want to like push it into the area that you want. And then I leave it, I build it up a little bit so that I can shape it when I'm sanding it.
Hear me calling up, hear me calling up. Oh, oh, I told the stars your name. Can you hear me calling up? Hear me calling out now.
This all sanded down, and now I'm going to put a primer on it. I know that, well, my assumption is this is going to bleed. So I'm going to use an oil-based primer. I just use a Zinsser.
When did you start shifting shapes? I can still see you even in these different faces. The sky is collapsing no matter what happens. Just know that I was there for you. Burning, I'm burning, my soul inside is burning. I'm searching
All right, it's time to make the mold. So this is the first time I've done this. So I watched a tutorial and it suggests to use cornstarch as a release agent. So I just brush that on and then I tap out any extra. So here I'm grabbing some paper clay. And it just says to get enough to fill in the mold and you want maybe a little excess. I'm pushing it into the mold, trying to get into all the detail. It does stick to your hands a bit, so I probably should have put some cornstarch in there. So now I'm just releasing it, and it came out real nice. Now here I'm doing another mold. These are Prima molds I get on Amazon. I decided to try and use this Bondo scraper to kind of push it into the mold. This seems to work better than my hands. And it's ready to pop out right away. You just want to be gentle with it because it does tear sometimes. You'll see here I had to kind of push them back together. I did look on the directions and it says if they tear, just use some water and kind of moisten it and then you can reform it. All right, I'm going to continue with this mold. I decided to paint these before I place them on the dresser because I want these to be a different color than the face of the dressers, which I did in a tan wash. Now I'm placing them on the dresser. So right now I'm just trying to lay them out and figure out where I want to place them. They did tend to break a little bit. I use this Gorilla glue. It's a clear glue, so it doesn't show up if it gets any excess around the edges. Brush it on with a silicone brush. Just make sure you get in all the areas. You want to make sure you have a really good adhesion to the dresser. So I'm just applying it here, and then I just kind of push it down gently to not damage it, but I want to make sure the edges are really secure. So again, I had some technical difficulties. My microphone did not work when I recorded this. I need to invest in some better equipment, but this is all the paper clay flowers I did. They just aren't setting up as well as I'd like. They're falling apart. I just don't think that this technique is for me. This was a failure. So I'm going to go back to my original method of the resin technique. Time to make the molds. So I'm using amazing casting resin. This is a two-part. You mix A and B equal parts. And when they're well incorporated, they start to cure. They have about a 2-minute work time, so you want to pour quickly but carefully. And then they cure in about 10 minutes and you can pop them out of the molds. So I start with A, and I usually pour this into a larger cup. But I changed my mind and I poured it into a smaller cup so that I can make sure that I'm getting equal amounts of A and B. And then I pour B into A. Just make sure you scrape it out. These are little silicone cups I got at Amazon. And then you just want to stir this. And you want to stir it until it's not cloudy. It won't be completely clear, but you won't see any swirl marks in it. Now just pour this into the mold. Don't overfill it, but try to make sure you get it into all the detail. These are the Prima molds, again, that I've used before. You can get them on Amazon. And now it's ready to pop out of the mold. So you can see it's still flexible. It's not totally cured, but this is when I like to pop them out because they're still kind of easily moldable. So I've got them all painted and now I'm just arranging them on the dresser how I like them before I glue them down. Now that I've decided where I want them arranged on the dresser, I'm applying them. So I'm using the clear Gorilla Glue and the silicone brush, and I'm just making sure I get it well applied. And then I'm securing them onto the dresser. And now in some places I have to use the tape to make sure that they stay. I want to make sure these are very well secured so they don't fall off.
All right, I'm making the DIY wife base, or kind of a modified version of that for this dresser. I will put the link to her full tutorial in the description below. You'll see these pieces already have pocket holes drilled into them. I'm reusing them from a project that I messed up on. So I'm using 1x3 red oak for the apron and 2x2 red oak for the legs. I got these at Home Depot. And now I'm about to drill some more pocket holes into the ends so that I can attach them to the legs. I'm using a Craig jig. This is an older model. So the Craig jig comes with a special bit to drill the pocket holes. And I just clamp the wood onto the Craig jig and then use my drill to drill the pocket holes. Now that I have this all sanded, I'm ready to attach these to the legs. So I'm using 1.5 or 1.25 inch pocket screws. I clamp the legs down and then I drill the aprons into the sides. I clamp them down because if I don't, they tend to split. You'll see I'm having some trouble getting the screws in here. I forgot to mention, and you can't see it in the video, but I do put wood glue on the ends of the boards before I screw them into the legs. I was having so much trouble getting the screws into the legs that I decided to use a spacer so that the board isn't on the edge of the legs, and that seemed to work a lot better. All done. I think it fits perfect.
Once again, I forgot to push record. So I went ahead and I glued the bottom of this before I clamped it on and then used pocket screws to screw it up on. So sorry, I've been distracted and I forgot to hit play. I had it all set up, but I made a new base because the other one didn't fit right. And I did not film that because I already filmed making the one base. So I'm going to get my husband to help me put this up and see if it sits right. All right, time to put the polyurethane on. So I'm using Bare fast drying water-based polyurethane matte. Here is the dresser. It's looking good. All right, I've got my poly loaded in my HomeRite sprayer. What's that? HomeRite sprayer. I am putting my mask on for safety. I'm trying to be a lot better about remembering that. Ta-da! Here's another one of my Anthropologie enchantment dresser DIY projects. So I did a little different this time. I wanted to do something with a two-tone. I custom made this color myself. I love it. And then I painted these and then glued them on. I used resin. You'll see in the video, I tried 2 different techniques. I did try the paper clay technique. It was not a super successful technique for me. It took a lot more time and they didn't dry as quickly. So that was kind of another issue I had. The resin technique, they just dry really fast. The only reason why I was a little nervous about doing them on this one is because I wanted to paint them first before I put them on the dresser. And they weren't super pliable when I was ready to put them on, and they don't tend to go as flush on the surface of the drawers unless they have still a little bit of they're still a little bit pliable. So that was my only reason why I didn't like it, but I think it turned out beautiful. I love it. I lined the drawers. I made a base for it. I'll show you in a minute on that, but I'm super excited about this one. Thank you for watching. All right, so here it is again and some closer pictures of it. I'm super happy with this. I love how it turned out. You see, I'm lined the drawers. I always do this. I have very rarely found any wood dressers that the drawers weren't damaged in some way, old ones anyway, or smelled, and these kind of had a smell, so I just painted them and then I put the liner in there. And then this is the two-tone, so I whitewashed these, or I tan washed them, sorry, and then I painted the flowers before I applied them. And I decided to go not quite as heavy on the flowers as I did on my other piece. I just did a little bit on the side there and down on the bottom, and there's the base. And then I did a little bit up on the top here. So I really love it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to leave a comment. Tell me what you think.
I got no issues, it's kinda nice. Like running water into a paradise. Got no drama, feels like we arrived. Picture perfect, it don't exist. But when I'm with you, don't have to question it. True devotion. All my life, I thought that love was just a lie. A way to feel an unrealistic high. We get our fix, but never satisfied. Give you all of my love and you give it right back. I could fly, I could fall, I know you got my back. Never thought I would find someone to love like that.